Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, September 7th, 2016. I'm your host, Shawn King. This is show number 1108. Right, let's get right off the top. We have our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com here on the show. Jim, how you doing?
Hello.
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 How you doing?
Hello.
Jim, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Jim is, as is typical on an Apple event day, at a bar somewhere in San Francisco. So that's the weird noise you hear.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, one of the things I'm always curious about is the vibe at these events. You get there 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock before the event, and you mill around with your fellow tech media folks. Was there any kind of particular vibe this time around, or were people sort of jaded because we already knew everything that was going on? Or give us a sense of what it was like before the event.
No, I think that people always have a feeling that there may be something that they missed. I think the gist of what Apple announced was people had a pretty good feeling about that. But, you know, there are a lot of particulars that we don't know, and we never know going in. I mean, it's easy to say, oh, yeah, Apple will release a better camera. You know, but you don't know what that camera is. You don't know that it's going to have this depth of field thing, which is going to make my pictures look particularly amazing because because mine are usually blurry anyway. So now I can say, well, that's Apple's fault. It's depth of field.
Well, as I say many times, a good camera will not make a shitty photographer a better photographer.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, same to you. So you go in, you all sit down, you get excited, and then carpool karaoke comes on. What was that like for you guys?
That was hilarious.
It was stupid.
I know, it was hilarious, I got to tell you.
Doesn't it feel like they're trying to shoehorn Tim Cook into a persona that Tim Cook doesn't come across as?
You know what? Of all, like that performance at the end, as much as I'll have nightmares about that, that thing at the beginning with carpool karaoke, I thought was hilarious.
It always feels so forced to me because Tim Cook doesn't seem to be that goofy kind of guy, and them trying to make him.
That's why it worked.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I up until the point when Pharrell got in the car.
Well, you have a problem with black people in general, so.
Oh, get it. I have a problem with you and Pharrell. That's it.
Well, we just happen to be black and half black. Okay, I get it. I understand it.
I don't like Pharrell because he's a thief.
Causation isn't correlation. So Apple announced that they a couple of interesting things, that they've got 17 million Apple Music subscribers. I'm sure that's making the folks at Spotify pee themselves.
Yes, it must.
Because Spotify's been around for many, many years, and they're just now at what, the 30 million mark?
30, yeah.
So that's got to worry them. Now, did it seem like Apple was saying, where are you, dude? It's so loud there. Are you in the kitchen?
No. Jeez. Okay, I'll step outside again.
Thank you.
There.
Thank you.
Now I'm outside with the scooters and the trucks and everything.
But that's less noise than you sitting by the TV set.
It wasn't the TV. They have, like, jazz playing.
Wait, you went to a jazz bar?
I'm at a jazz bar.
Holy shit, are you out of place? There's no one I can imagine more out of place than Jim Dalrymple at a frickin' jazz bar.
I like jazz.
I didn't say you didn't like jazz. I'm saying you would look out of place at a jazz bar.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, it is kind of odd, I'll be honest with you. But, hey, they served me beer, so.
The first thing up after the Apple Store and Apple Music stuff was the newest version of the Apple Watch, which, interestingly enough, they're calling Series 2, which I think is kind of cool. Also, kind of interesting, too, they are doing some upgrades to the Apple, the first Apple Watch, which I also think is very interesting. Drop the price.
Yeah.
Now, you've had hands-on with the Apple Watch. ArcSign in our RC chat room says, ask Jim what shade of white is a ceramic Apple Watch.
Yeah, there's a good question. I don't know.
But
my initials aren't SJ, so I wouldn't know.
One of the things I've always disliked is the feel of ceramic. I got to assume this is a smooth ceramic, not like a coffee mug ceramic.
Oh, this is so nice.
Yeah.
So nice. I didn't think, to be honest, that I would like it. When they said ceramic, I thought, nah, not for me.
Yeah.
And this was during the keynote. I just said, no, I don't think so. And then I went back and I touched it. And, is it ever beautiful. But I don't even know how much that one costs. How much does it cost?
I think it said, was it $269 for, the ceramic one?
Yeah. $369, I think, wasn't it?
For ceramic?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's the same price.
Cause that's the one I would get. If I was going out to get an Apple Watch, that's what I would get.
Now that's what I was going to ask. You already have an Apple Watch. You're already in love with your Apple Watch.
I am.
Would you get the 42 millimeter ceramic? Is $12.99 is what it starts at.
Get out of here! It is not.
It is. I'm looking at the Apple's website. $12.99.
Okay, so scratch that. Because this beer that I'm having, that runs me dry right there.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're
$12.99.
Yeah, these things are not cheap, which is why I think it's great that Apple is upping the specs of the previous version and yet lowering the price at the same time. So that's a good thing.
So this is the new gold watch.
Yes, isn't that interesting though that the new rose gold watch, they've completely dropped from the product line, haven't they?
No, I don't think they dropped the. Oh, you mean like the real gold?
Yes.
Oh, it's probably still there, but
I don't see it on Apple's website. But they may be. Jesus.
Okay. Look, that guy just drove by. He has a vest and patches, so I'm not going after him.
Yeah, no shit. Do not mess with those guys, man. If he's patched, don't just wave at him. Just don't say a word.
Yeah, I'm not even going to look at him.
No, don't even go anywhere near it. So that means the question is, will you upgrade your Series 1 Apple Watch to a Series 2 Apple Watch?
Well, there's a couple of things. I would love to upgrade to a ceramic.
Yeah.
The ceramic is 4 times stronger than the aluminum one.
Yep.
Which I don't know how did they take a hammer to it and see? They have a way to figure it out.
Yes, they do.
So there's that. But the Series 2 has a couple of things that I would like, especially for my walks. One is the wireless headset.
Yes.
That it just connects to the watch. And 2 is the GPS.
Yes.
So I could go for a walk now just with my watch and a pair of those wireless headphones.
Yep.
I no longer need to take I didn't need to take my watch before or my phone before, but I didn't have wireless headphones because wireless headphones suck. So, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't try the wireless headphones today, and I mentioned that in the article. That is the thing that caught my interest the most because Apple's tackling a lot of things here.
Yeah.
With these wireless headphones, first and foremost is sound. It has to be a great sound.
Yeah.
So can they do that? Then they also have the mics so that you can talk. Will that work? Work properly because they're quite a ways away from your mouth.
Yeah.
Even though wireless headsets are as well. But this is a completely different thing. They have a button to do Siri. They have all this stuff going on these wireless headphones and things that they're trying to tackle. But, overall, this is what made this event so good for me because I want Apple to tackle these problems for me and fix them.
Yes.
And that's what I want. And I feel like that's what they did today. I really do with the iPhone and the camera and with the wireless headphones. If they work, we'll find out. The headphones that I use on a regular basis for listening to music, are about $1,200.
Yeah.
So, the Future Sonics in-ears ones. So, those are great headphones. I expect great sound quality.
Yes.
So, I expect that from these wireless headphones. If they don't have it, then I won't use it.
Can we expect great sound from this level of headphone, though? I don't think that's fair to expect high-quality sound from, for lack of a better term, mid-range headphones. I don't think the internals of these are any better than the ones that come in the box. You know what I mean?
Well, then they're going to have a problem.
I think they're going to have a problem. They're not going to have a problem among average, everyday people, because average people don't know what good sound is. You and I have had this conversation before. Most people don't know what a good set of headphones or a good set of earbuds sound like because they've never experienced it.
Well, I don't expect the type of quality that I get from my Future Sonics.
Yes.
But I'm not paying the price that you would pay for a set of Future Sonics headphones either.
Yep.
So, and I doubt that the amount of research went into these headphones, or maybe it was a different type of research and just as much. I don't know, but I do expect a good quality of sound from these headphones. I don't expect the same quality that I get from my Future Sonics headphones, but I do expect just as good as I would get from my my Apple headphones.
Yeah.
And if it's anything less than that, then I think that they have a problem.
It's very funny to see how many people are talking about getting some kind of tether for these AirPods. Kind of defeats the purpose of having wireless. But how much conversation did you and your other tech media buddies have about the fact that these things are going to get lost? They're very easy to lose. The audio quality may not be fantastic, and the price is astronomical.
What do you mean astronomical?
$160? I can't afford $160 for something I'm going to lose every third day.
Well, now we're back to last week's conversation about Dave sitting on his remote. I mean,
Exactly.
Come on.
And the thing is, you can't charge them while you listen to music.
Well, no.
That's a bad thing.
You can't put a battery charger on your car while you're driving either. I mean, come on.
So you're just poo-pooing these issues. These issues don't matter to you.
Well, look. I had I had in-ear headphones for a cheaper set of Future Sonics headphones a few years back. And I kept losing them because the in-ear part would actually, it was meant to come off of the post.
Yep.
So I would lose them. Well, that's not their fault. That's my fault for not taking care of them better.
Yep.
But I would get drunk and, pull my cigarettes out of my pocket, and one of those rubber in-ear things would go bouncing down the street, So, but that's not their fault. So, I mean, it's up to us to look after the product. I opened up the little pouch that it comes in.
Yep.
I took them out. I didn't put them in, but I took them out. And they were great. They looked great. They really did. I'll tell you, I was a bit surprised that the stem was so long. But then again, the earpods are so iconic in color and design.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm standing outside here now with all the bikers driving by, and somebody's going to get shot any minute, I'm sure. And I bet you a dozen people have walked by with white earphones.
Yeah.
All have, it's just, they're everywhere. So they're iconic. Here comes somebody that doesn't have Apple earphones in. Huh. I'm just staring at them.
Giving them a dirty look.
Yeah, like.
What's wrong with you?
What, you think you're better than the rest of us?
But one of these things I want you to ask Apple, if you haven't, what happens if you lose one of them? Are they paired together? I know they're paired to your phone, but what happens? what happens if you lose one of them? Conversely, can you have more than one person listening to one iPhone? Can you, in other words, pair more than one set to an iPhone? Because that'd be kind of cool for two people listening to the same music. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
I don't think you can, because I think the iPhone only outputs to one audio source at a time. But it would be kind of neat to be able to, at some future point, to have two people, more people, five people. You're all sitting around at the beach listening to the same song. But the other thing is,
as long as it was my music.
As long as it was your music, exactly. But the same thing is, do they have to be used together? What happens if you do lose one? If you're out jogging and one falls out of your head or in your pocket and one falls out, does that mean the second one is useless?
I did think about that. And I don't know.
And thirdly, if and when, not if, but when you find one lying on the ground, can you pick it up and use it?
Oh, that's just gross.
I know. We'll clean it off and use it. How's that?
Wow. What do you lick it first and then put it in your ear?
There was a huge uproar over this for the past 3 months when the rumor first came out. You think the uproar was justified now that we've seen the product and seen Apple's implementation? I think that in 6 months we won't be talking about this, and in a year every smartphone manufacturer will have wired AirPods. Do you agree?
Well, we have wired AirPods now.
I'm sorry, a wireless
earpods.
I think Samsung's going to copy this. I think everyone's going to copy this technology. Do you agree?
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Of course they are. When you listen to Phil, who I think Phil did a remarkable job today, and I said this in the article too, not only telling us what was new, but telling us why that was important.
Yep.
I think, Phil summed it up by bringing up that picture of the old switchboard.
Yep.
That was from 100 years ago. This technology is the same. And space is at a premium. Would you rather have... see? A couple more beer and I'll be running out there.
Oh, God.
So, I think that if space is at a premium, would you rather have an analog jack, or would you rather have other technology in there that can make this an even better product?
Well, I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is that Apple and others haven't done a good job of explaining to people why this is better. For the average user, all this is $160 for a pair of wireless earpods, not the fact that it's better technology or anything else along those lines.
Well, you don't need to buy them.
No, true. I agree. You don't.
I mean, a set of headphones is going to come in the box. And, as I said months ago, an adapter is going to come in the box.
Yep.
So all of this yelling and screaming that people did is all about nothing.
Yep. As usual.
As usual. But I don't believe that people were so upset about this analog headphone thing when there's a perfectly reasonable way to get around it.
One of the things that I'm wondering how many people really paid attention to was Apple saying very clearly and on at least 3 separate occasions that wireless is their future. Wireless charging will be here next year this time. Do you believe that?
Oh, I believe wireless charging will be here when Apple feels that they can do it better than anybody else.
No. I think that's going to be in the iPhone 8. Let's move on to the iPhone 7. You've had a chance to at least have some hands-on time with it. No review just yet. Hands-on, how does it feel? How does it look?
Oh, my God, the black. I loved when Shower said, so we have this color, we call it jet black. And then he went on to the next one. So we have this other black phone, we call it black.
Really black. Seriously black. Original black. African black.
That was funny.
I love the video that Apple showed. That's we posted up on the Loop. It's on Apple's YouTube page. That's just porn. It's just straight up porn. It's so beautiful. The way they film those things is just spectacular.
Yeah, I mean when they showed the jet black, which is gloss.
Yeah, yeah.
When they showed that, I thought, oh my God, that is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So beautiful. And then they showed the matte black, and I thought, oh, that's so beautiful.
Pretty and prettier, yeah, exactly. It's spectacular looking colors.
Yeah, and I don't know which one is prettier, to be honest. They're both so nice.
It is interesting though to see Apple warning folks that that gloss black, the fine print says these things will scratch. Be careful.
Yeah, of course. But you have to be a complete asshole to think that they're not going to scratch.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even I have a rose gold iPhone 6 Plus now. I put it in my pocket. It's scratching up against a lighter and cards, and sometimes I put sand in my pocket because I might need it later.
Yep.
It scratches, but I don't care. It's no big deal. I mean, I get in my car, I throw it on the seat. I get home, I throw it on the table. It's gonna get scratched, but you use this thing, it's not going to stay perfect forever.
Have we gotten to the point where the iPhone design itself, the physical design of it, matters less than what the OS can do with it?
Well, the OS is certainly very important in what we can do. The OS increasingly is allowing us to do more with the hardware.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to audio, there's things in the software that allow the audio to work better. So one is as important as the other these days, the way that it's coming.
It's funny to see people complaining or complimenting the new home button. Doesn't seem like that's gotten a whole lot of play on it. People are saying that the vibration isn't good enough or it's good enough. And you actually mentioned it in your article over on loopinsight.com. Give us your impressions of the new home button, like it matters.
I really liked it. I thought I liked it more than what I thought I was going to like.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing about the trackpad on the MacBook.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't think I was going to like that, and I turned out, I used the hell out of that all the time. So the home button is interesting in that you can, if they didn't think that the vibration was good enough, maybe they didn't turn it up, because there is a setting in settings where you can go haptic 1, 2, and 3, and there's no way that you cannot feel 3, because three just like shakes your thumb. So maybe they didn't turn on a good setting for them.
Yeah.
I thought that 2 was a perfect setting. I could still feel 1, but I thought 2 was a bit better.
I think that's a symptom of this necessity the tech media has to do these hot takes. They immediately have to say, before anybody else, to tweet it or to post it, this is what I think, this is what I feel. And it's not until X period of time later that they realize, oh, that's not what I thought, or that is what I thought, or that kind of stuff. I think that's exactly what it was. I realized that when the person tweeted this, and I thought, well, that seems odd that other folks aren't saying this. And then I think it was you or someone else tweeted, there's a setting on the home button so you can have it make it vibrate more. So that's probably what it was.
Who tweeted that?
It's probably Neelay or some other asshat.
So there's a guy that's driving down the street here on a skateboard, motorized skateboard, that's going faster than the car.
Welcome to big city traffic.
I'm actually stepping out onto the street right now because I want to see if he crashes, because he's going down a hill. And it is a motorized skateboard.
Oh, dear. Play-by-play of the San Francisco streets from Jim Dalrymple.
That was pretty awesome. Here's some more Apple headphones.
You don't get this kind of stuff on every podcast, kids. You got to appreciate this while you can. Live from the streets of San Francisco.
I'm telling you, that was pretty wild. I wish I had my back to him when he drove by. I wish I had seen it. I would have thrown something at him.
React to this statement. Even if you don't need a new iPhone 7, you should still get one.
I think that this is, I think it's a great iPhone. I really do. I would recommend people buy it for sure because it's got the power, it's got the camera, it's got more of the technologies with iOS 10. I think Apple did everything that they could do to give us a better product.
It's always interesting to me to see the comments on Twitter, on Facebook, on those kind of things, about people complaining about the keynote itself. You were guilty of it like anybody else, bitching about the choice of the music at the end of the show.
Oh, come on.
What?
That was just freaky.
So?
That was some freaky shit.
You've got to be able to appreciate music that isn't in your realm.
Where am I right now? I'm at a jazz club.
No one believes you, Jim.
Well, I can't help that.
You have to take a picture of the outside of it where it says Jazz Club and post it on Twitter. Otherwise, no one's going to believe you.
You said that it was, you could hear the music. I mean, I can go back in and you can hear it again.
I couldn't hear that it was jazz. Anyway, part of the problem is this attitude that Steve Scott on Twitter said they really are having to pad the keynote out. It's boring. I saw so many folks talking about that kind of stuff, and it's very much an attitude of, why isn't Apple talking about what I want them to talk about? Why isn't Apple playing the music I want them to play? Why aren't they doing... Yes, that's exactly what it was.
No, it wasn't that at all. It wasn't that at all. It was freaky and weird. I mean, that was the weirdest ending to a keynote ever.
Okay, I won't disagree with that.
Okay, that's all that I was saying. It was weird.
But Sia's an odd artist. I appreciate it. I liked her music. I like the sound of her voice. I'm never going to buy anything of hers.
I am convinced, by the way, that she was not singing. She couldn't have been singing because the track faded out. Yes. And she was still singing.
Yeah.
So come on. She was not singing.
But isn't there a problem? Isn't that overall an attitude that we see in the tech media far too much? They're so jaded. They're so bored by this stuff. They showed a video in just before the Tim Cook came on stage, and there were row upon row of supposed journalists with their heads in their iPhones or on their laptops. They weren't experiencing the event. They weren't watching the event. They were seeing it through their phones or their laptops.
Well, and those are people that are writing and another set of non-Apple headphones. I'm staring at him too.
But you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see Apple say to those people, look, if you want to live tweet or live blog or write or be on your laptop, go into this other room. We want people who are focused on what's in front of them on stage, not focused on their phones.
Well, I had a notebook and a pen.
Old school.
Old school, baby. A notebook and a pen.
Mosquito says it was a very entertaining keynote, informative, not huge. Would you agree with that?
Well, let me see. I think that there was some huge announcements. If you look at which is what took my attention at first, these wireless headphones.
Yep.
That could be huge for Apple. That could be a huge thing. It seems like it may not be, just because wireless Bluetooth headphones. Yeah, we've heard of that. So what? But there's a lot of things. It was very entertaining. I thought that they did a great job.
Yeah.
Was it a brand new design and all that? No. But why change the design if it's working?
Sure.
This design works. Changing the design just for the sake of change is a perfect way that companies will go under.
Yep.
So I don't think that's a big thing. I do think that there was some significant announcements. I really do.
So do I. I agree.
So I think it was a pretty big keynote. I was more impressed than what I thought I would be.
Interesting.
So, there you go.
Folks, on that note, we'll let him go. Go back to his jazz club, which is the weirdest site in San Francisco tonight, and that's a weird town. We've been talking to Jim Dalrymple for The Loop at loopinsight.com. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Shawn.
See you, buddy. Bye. It's kind of strange to have. I never know whether that's a good thing or not. Sorry, hang on. My cable's all cut up. Never know whether that's a good thing or not to have Jim do these things live because we have those audio problems. But the other thing is that it's a live feel. I've always liked the live feel of the show. Yeah, an aside, I hear about podcasts who do an interview with somebody and then they say the podcast will be up next week. Why next week? Because I have to do the editing. Well, you did it. You said it live. Post it. But there's all kinds of mistakes and ums and ahs. Well, that's how people talk. But I don't know. I miss seeing Jim at his desk making faces. Yeah, but I can't get him to do that anymore. Your Mac Life featuring Jim playing in traffic. Yeah, that's right. That's right. What are your thoughts about the keynote in general, the event announcements in general? Whether it be overall your impressions of it, whether it be specifics. Are you going to buy a new iPhone 7 or a new iPhone 7 Plus? Yes or no? What is it that doesn't interest you? What is it that does interest you? Will you buy a new Apple Watch? Or you buy Series 1 Apple Watch? That's kind of cool. I still, for me personally, have yet to find a justification for the Apple Watch. As much as I would like to have one, I can't find a reason to buy one. It's $700+ here in Canada in general. And I can't find a good justification for what the Apple Watch does and how it would fit into my, for lack of a better term, sedentary lifestyle. I don't need the fitness tracking stuff. I don't know anybody I can send my heartbeat to. I don't know anyone I can send little notes to. I don't need notifications. I'm right here in this spot 95% of my computing time. So I don't need a watch to notify me. I've got a 27-inch iMac to notify me. I can't justify it. I cannot find a way to buy an Apple Watch. I'd love to. I think they're cool. I think the technology is very interesting. I think it's just going to get better. The new Watch OS 3 looks really interesting. Even Pokemon looks kind of cool on the watch. The directions, the features and functionality look really interesting, but they're just not enough for me. What about you? Will you buy a Series 1 or Series 2? Do you have one now? Will you upgrade? Let me know. Email onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. With the new iPhone 7, will you buy the new AirPods? Does that technology interest you? For me, again, I could not justify the AirPods for any number of reasons. The cost is way too much. The AirPods themselves are based on the same design as the EarPods, and for me personally, and a lot of other people, the EarPods suck physically. They do not stay in my ear. Whether that means I've got a weird-shaped ear or whatever the story is, they don't go in deep enough, and they don't stay in there. I've tried them with all kinds of situations, just walking around town, on the motorcycle, whatever. They don't stay in. And then they start hurting after about a half hour. They start abrading my ear canal after about half an hour. And the sound quality just isn't very good, in my opinion. That's a personal opinion. That's what I think. I've used Etymotics. I've used Futuresonics. I've used Sennheiser. I like the earbuds that go in your ear with these little silicone bits that seal into my ear. Because one of the things is the ones that seal attenuate noise. They lower the decibel level of the outside noise. So you don't have to have your music turned up loud. The problem I have with the Apple ones is because they wouldn't go in my ear, I had to turn my volume up really loud in order to defeat the outside noise. So I just can't. Even if they were cheaper, I wouldn't buy them. They're going to be too easy to lose. I'm a klutz. You all know I'm a klutz. I know for a fact I would lose one or both of those things so easily. I'd put them down, or I'd forget about them, or they'd fall out of my head. I just can't justify it. Can you? Are AirPods in your future? Will they be under your Christmas tree? Will you buy them as soon as you buy your iPhone? I want to know what you guys think about this kind of stuff. For me, the big deal was the announcements of the dates of the next version of iOS, iOS 10, and of macOS 10, macOS Sierra. Sierra is a bigger deal for me because I sit in front of this computer 14 hours a day. So what it does for me is more important than anything else Apple has announced. I'm interested in looking and playing around with the new version of iOS 10. Are you? On air at yourmaclifeshow.com. In our starting point photography segment, we're going to talk about the new iPhone 7 and 7S cameras. Two cameras. The iPhone 7 has a new updated camera, and the iPhone 7S has two new updated cameras, or two new updated lenses. We talked about, I think it was last week, the week before, how some people feel or think or say that the iPhone will start eating into DSLR sales or take over from DSLRs. That's not going to happen. It may eat into sales. It's not going to take over. And I explained in that show why. The light gathering capabilities is only this big versus this big on a DSLR, and the sensor size is that big versus that big. But that being said, Apple has done some really interesting things with the new version of the iPhone 7 camera, as they do every single time. Every single time Apple releases a new iPhone, it comes out with a new, better, upgraded camera because Apple learns more about photography, about the technology, about how to do this kind of stuff. There's now optical image stabilization through both cameras, 7 and 7S. And what that means is, now if you're jerking your camera around, it's not going to do anything for that. But what the optical image stabilization does is just the average, everyday physical motion. When you're holding your camera, just your heartbeat, just breathing will make the camera lens move a little bit. Pushing the shutter button will make it move a little bit. So it's going to help, not cure, those kinds of vibrations. Coupled with the new aperture of f.18, remember, aperture numbers are fractions. So if you take the f away and put a 1 in there, that's now 1 over 1/8. That's very, very wide. It's very, very wide. For a professional level camera, an aperture of 1.8 is really, really good. So that, coupled with the image stabilization, means Apple's low light performance will get much, much better. That's not saying a whole lot. Don't get caught up in Apple saying, oh, it's the best low light. Well, yeah, because the low light before sucked. It was not good on the iPhone. That's why when you try to take pictures of your friends in a bar, they never came out. They look really grainy. These will get better than they were before. They still won't be as good as a DSLR. Again, because you've got a giant light collecting device on the front of your DSLR and you've got a little tiny light collecting device on the front of your iPhone. There are now 4 smart LED lights on the back of the iPhone 7 and 7S, which is good because it means we'll even out the light in darker situations. One of the problems with all on-camera flashes is they tend to be really, really bright. They just throw a whole buttload of light at one spot. That's why you get that ugly glare on some of the photos. So that's one of the reasons why I think these two cameras will do a much better job at low light situations. Still not fantastic, but much better. Also with movies too. It'll do better low lights conditions for movies. The new front-facing selfie camera, because that's what we're going to call it, is larger megapixels and a little bit better image quality. So that'll be good for those folks who like selfies. The biggest thing that Apple said was I'm just reading off the webpage, the image signal processor, the ISP, built into the new A10 Fusion chip. For Apple, a lot of the issues that they have that they think that they can fix are issues of software. That it's less an issue of hardware. Apple can only go so far. The laws of physics and the laws of design can only let Apple go so far, making a lens so big. They can't make a lens as big as a DSLR. So what they're doing is making the lens for its size as good as they possibly can, and then doing even more inside the iPhone with this image signal processor. And from what I saw on the video, it looks like they've done a good job. I don't know. I haven't seen those images side by side. I haven't used the camera myself. I can't say definitively. But if anybody can do it, Apple can. Apple does a really good job of making these advancements in their iPhone cameras that do, in fact, make a difference. I think what Apple says in regards to this stuff is true. This is the best iPhone camera they've ever come out with. It's not as good as a DSLR. If you know how to use a DSLR, you will always take better pictures than with an iPhone. But if you have no interest in a DSLR, if you are just an average everyday shooter, the iPhone's going to be the only camera you need. It can do a lot of amazing things. So keep that in mind. If you think you might want, don't think of the iPhone as a replacement for the DSLR. Think of the iPhone as a really good camera by itself, but not one that would replace a better one. This is not the end-all, be-all of cameras. The next thing is the camera in the two cameras, the dual lenses, in the iPhone 7 Plus. Now that is even more interesting. 12 megapixels, a wide-angle lens, and a telephoto lens. The telephoto lens is kind of iffy. It's not really telephoto. It does zoom. It does a 2-time zoom. But to be honest with you, for the most part, you shouldn't be using only a 2-time zoom. Walk closer to your subject. As I say in my classes, zoom with your feet. One of the problems that beginners have, and this is such a funny little phenomenon I see all the time, is people see something of interest and they stop. And they take a picture right from the point that they saw the interesting thing. Well, don't do that. Next time you're going to take a picture with your iPhone, look at the thing that it is, then move closer to it. Get physically closer to the object. Get as close to it as you can before you take the picture. There's your zoom. There's your 2-time zoom. Get as physically close as you can, and then if you have to, then use the 2-time zoom. But initially, get as physically close to it as you can. Zoom with your feet. Exactly. The problem for me, and the problem for every honest photographer out there, is when Apple starts talking about what's called digital zoom. Okay? Digital zoom, up until this morning at 10 o'clock, has sucked on every camera known to man. Every photographer worth his salt tells people do not use digital zoom. Because digital zoom is fake zoom, it's ugly zoom, it's pixelated zoom, it's not good. Okay? Now, I'm going to, until I'm shown different, assume that Apple's 10-time zoom is going to be just as bad. It has to be. Because digital zoom does not do a good job. But because Apple does such a good job with this image signal processor, I'm willing to cut it a little bit more slack. But not so much slack that I'm going to believe every word they say. They say they've got these two lenses, one wide angle, one telephoto. And they say they can do 10 times digital zoom and have it look good. Okay. I believe they can do 10 times digital zoom. I don't believe it looks good. Until I see it for myself, I don't believe it's going to look good. So don't rely on Apple digital zoom. You haven't had it before. Actually, you do. You do have Zoom on your iPhone, and it sucks. But most of you are smart enough not to use it. So don't buy the camera just for the Zoom. Don't think about it that way. Arcsign says, should every beginning photographer start with an iPhone camera if they have a smartphone anyway? Sorry, Arcsign, I don't understand the question. Should every beginning photographer start with an iPhone camera if they're having a smartphone anyway? If they're going to have a smartphone? Well, no. If I understand your question, Arcsign, I don't care what camera you use. You can take good pictures no matter whether you're using an iPhone, an Android phone, a point-and-shoot phone, anything. You can take a Polaroid one that you take it out and shake it off. You can take good pictures with any phone. Learn how to create images first. Then the device you use to take those images becomes important. You can take perfectly good photos with the iPhone. I've seen them. I've done them. You can take really nice shots. So don't think that you need a certain camera to take good images. You don't. Wayne says, I think Arcstein is asking if the iPhone is the best smartphone camera. That's a good, okay, if that's the question, that's something completely different. I've seen any number of reviews from any number of websites that will say that this camera phone is better than that camera phone. Not having used a Samsung phone, I don't know. I don't know if the Samsung Galaxy X Note 12,000 is better than the iPhone in an objective point of view. That it's got better specs, that it creates better images. I don't know that. I can't answer that question. I know I like the photos I take with the iPhone, but one of the reasons why I like my iPhone photos is I know how to take photos. I know what good composition is. I know how to edit my images. I know what makes a pleasing image. So I think if you gave me both those phones, a Samsung Galaxy whatever, and an iPhone side by side, in theory, I'd take the exact same photo because the camera itself doesn't make a lot of difference. Now, maybe one or the other would have better colors, better blacks, more highlights, more shadow. I don't know. I couldn't say that for a given on either side. One of the problems I have with the way Apple describes this stuff is, for example, Tim Cook said during the keynote that he was talking about this live preview thing where you can see, he showed that photo. I don't know if Apple's got it on their website. Let me see if I can find it. That photo they showed of the blurry background. Okay, they don't have the exact photo, but what they're talking about is this kind of idea where the subject is in focus and the background is out of focus. That's depth of field. It's a very common thing. If you have an aperture setting on your DSLR or your point and shoot, you change the aperture number, and the smaller that aperture number is, the closer it is to 1, the less depth of focus you're going to have, less depth of field you're going to have. What that means is your subject will be in focus, but the stuff behind them or even in front of them will be out of focus. It's a nice little photographic technique. It's a fun thing to practice and play around with. The reverse is true as well. The higher that aperture number is, the more things will be in focus. I always tell folks to think of aperture as a picket fence. Think of your aperture number. I'm sorry. Imagine a white picket fence, and it's going through your scene. So whatever you're looking at, imagine a white picket fence on an angle going through, on a diagonal, going through your scene. Your aperture number reflects the number of pickets that will be in focus. So if your aperture number is 1, only one of those pickets will be in focus. If your aperture number is 11, then 11 of those pickets will be in focus. If it's 22, 22 pickets will be in focus. And everything around the pickets will be in focus. So this picture that they're showing on Apple's website, imagine this is f4. So her nose, her eyes, her hair, her shoulder are in focus, but the things behind her are out of focus. Now Phil Schiller said, you can't see this live on high-end DSLRs. Well, at the very least, Phil was incorrect. At the worst, he's lying. Because you, in fact, can see this on high-end DSLRs. You can see this on prosumer DSLRs. It's called live preview. You can see it. It's over there. On my Olympus M1. On Vito Mori's Olympus M10. This is not magic, folks. So the way Schiller described that, to me, was a little off-putting. The other problem with it is, and the other thing that Apple seemed to tout was this portrait mode. They seemed to want to make it seem like, they didn't, but, this portrait mode is really cool. Yeah, it was. 10 years ago when I first started using it, every camera, every point-and-shoot camera, almost every point-and-shoot camera, almost every mirrorless camera, almost every consumer-level DSLR has got a portrait mode. And guess what, Mr. Schiller? They've also got an action mode, a macro mode, a landscape mode. Modes are not that big a deal, Mr. Schiller. Other cameras have had them for decades. So don't try blowing smoke up our ass and saying portrait mode is something really cool. The other issue is, MacMan, my D90 had a DOF, or depth of field preview button, that worked without even live view. Exactly. The other thing that Apple didn't mention is this depth of field thing where they have the nice blurry background. Only works in portrait mode. It doesn't do it in other modes. You can't control it. So, take what Apple says about this kind of stuff with a big old grain of salt. I'm looking forward to playing around with the new iPhone. I don't know how I'm going to, because here in Canada it's like $1,700, or is it $1,200? Regardless, it's over $1,000. I can't afford that. As much as I want the new iPhone 7 Plus, as much as I would love to take that thing to Portugal with me, that would be just fantastic. I can't afford that kind of money. It's a lot of money. $1,700 for a phone that takes pictures? Nope. Nope. Not me. Not me. If you have any questions about what you think the new iPhone camera can and can't do and shouldn't be able to do, send me an email. I'm happy to help you out. Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com or on air at yourmaclifeshow.com. But my criticism notwithstanding, the iPhone 7 and 7S are going to create better images. It's just a better camera, better lens, better processing, better software. All that stuff is better. I'd be willing to bet that if you took the exact same picture with an iPhone 6S and an iPhone 7S or 7 Plus, the 7 Plus will have a noticeably better picture. I believe that. I want to test it out for myself. But there's no reason not to believe that. But I don't believe digital zoom is going to be any good because it hasn't been good for anybody else. Digital zoom on every other camera sucks. It's the nature of digital zoom. Optical zoom good, digital zoom bad. Scott Thrift, take away the iPhone 7 and give Shawn a Quick Take 1. I used the Quick Take 1. It took shitty pictures. It was a shitty camera. It was a cool camera, but it wasn't a very good camera. There's no way that anyone could say that the Quick Take was a good camera. Send me emails to onair at yourmaclifeshow.com or to me directly at Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. Got an email from our friend Scott Randall in Long Island of the Long Island Macintosh user group, LiMug, my favorite mug. He says, I watched parts of the keynote today and read your article on the new wireless AirPods. I have 3 things to say about them. They're way too expensive. In-ear listening devices have always been uncomfortable for me. Have they thought at all about people who wear hearing aids? Recently, I've needed to wear a pair to be able to hear people speaking to me in a noisy environment. Yeah, if you need hearing aids, then you can't use any of these devices. These are specially made hearing aids, so I really need on one ear, which I prefer over I really need over-the-head phones. Well, you can still use those, Scott. There's nothing stopping you from, again, you don't have to buy the AirPods. The AirPods are not being shoved on you. There's going to be a regular set of EarPods in the box with your iPhone. There'll be a regular charging cable. There'll be a Lightning to 3.5 adapter for you in the box. So you don't got to worry about it. You said Bluetooth headphones don't work well when watching a YouTube video or any type of movie. The audio is never in sync. Now, I put that question, Scott, to folks on Telegram and on Twitter, and other folks disagree with you. So it might be the devices you're using. Other folks say that they don't have that issue. He says, now I don't know if I'll move to the iPhone 7. The lack of headphone jack puts me off a bit. Nothing else about the phone is something I feel I must have. I might just keep my iPhone 6 or even buy a 6S. I will wait to see how things shake out, so to speak. Looking forward to tonight's show. And he followed that up with, I just noticed this. On the iPhone 7, the mechanical home button is replaced by solid-state force touch button. Until I get my hands on one, I won't know how I feel about this. I think you'll feel fine about it. On the positive side, the minimum storage is now 32 gigabytes, which is good. And Apple quietly increased the minimum storage on all iPads to 32 gigabytes. As someone, I think it was, who mentioned it on Telegram? Khaled said that iPad Pro models have been reduced $50 at the low end, $100 at the high end. So no iPad refresh for this year. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would agree that you're not going to see another new iPad or new version of the iPad this year. Any other questions? You're trying to see anyone else send me anything? Nope. Don't look like it. That's it. You guys in the IRC chat room, what are you chatting about? Scott Thrift, I want to find out what the new sound quality is like direct from the phone now that it has stereo speakers. Mosquito, I remember the first time I was shown how a digital camera could be used on a job to work up a quick comp for an ad. I was impressed. Yeah, so was I. I remember demoing. I was the Western Canada supervisor for Apple demo days back in the Stone Age. And we were demoing the Performance 6400 and the QuickTake camera. And we were demoing it in our version of Best Buy up here in Canada, Future Shop. And we were blowing people's minds. Taking a picture and showing it to them on the computer immediately afterwards was just freaky for them. It was so cool. Now, the pictures were crap. They were like 640 by 480. I think I don't think QuickTake was even a megapixel camera, was it? The photos were bad photos. They had little dynamic range. They weren't very good. But the tech was so freaking cool. A shitty camera and equally shitty computer. Yeah, that's true, Mac, man. That is true. Folks, that's it for tonight's show. I want to hear from you guys about what you thought about today's announcements. I'm really interested in hearing from the audience with regards to the new iPhones and the new Apple Watch and the new AirPods, what your guys' thoughts and impressions of them are. Will you get them when they come out? Why or why not? If you so choose to let me know. I want to say thanks, as always, to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com for being on this here show, and to you guys for being tuned in, whether you're tuned in live or whether you tuned in via the archive. Always appreciate you guys taking the time to join me. I want to send a big shout-out, a special extra shout-out, to an old listener who has come back, Nabil in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Nabil said earlier on IRC he didn't know why he had stopped listening because he had so much fun. That was great to hear, Nabil. I really appreciate you saying that about us and our little gang. As always, folks, until next week, I've been Shawn King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!